Hello and welcome to Midday Report on TVP World. I'm Marie Casio. Poland is facing an unprecedented attempt by Russia to interfere with the upcoming presidential election, said Polish Digital Affairs Minister Krzysztof Gawkowski at the inauguration of the Defence24 Days conference in Warsaw. Our correspondent Don Arlith is at the event.
We're here at Defence24 Days, one of the most important security conferences in the Central and Eastern European region, and according to Poland's defense minister, one of the most important of such events in the world. Now, the opening remarks were made earlier this morning by Poland's defense minister, Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz, who talked about all the security issues here in Europe, about uniting the alliance, about spending more on defense. Currently, still 8 members of NATO are not hitting the 2% mark. Poland, the highest spender of GDP per capita, so it's a very fitting place for Poland to host this event, of course. But it's not only heavy weapon systems and hard defense. Poland's Minister of Digitization, Krzysztof Gawkowski, talked about the very real threats that Russia is posing both in the cyber realm and even to the elections which are about to take place here in Poland, the presidential elections coming up just a few days from now, at least the first term. Let's take a listen to what the minister had to say.
Poland is the most targeted country in the European Union. In 2024 alone, over 600,000 cyber incidents were reported, with more than 100,000 of them deemed serious enough to warrant intervention by Polish national services across various sectors. During the ongoing presidential election, we are facing an unprecedented attempt at interference by the Russian Federation. This is not an attack aimed at any single electoral committee, it's an assault on all of them. These actions are part of a coordinated effort combining disinformation campaigns targeting our information sphere with hybrid attacks on Poland's critical infrastructure. The goal is clear: to disrupt the normal functioning of our democratic state.
In addition to these threats, the Polish defense minister also said that one of Poland's priorities is to protect critical infrastructure in the Baltic Sea, something that all the Baltic countries have a heavy vested interest in. Reporting from the Defence24 Days in Warsaw, Don Arlith, TVP World.
Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski held a press conference on Tuesday. Our reporter Ovidiusz Nicieja was there and has this report.
Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski has held a press conference about voting abroad. He has encouraged all Poles living abroad to take part in the upcoming presidential elections on May 18. He has said that every vote in this election counts just the same, and so it doesn't matter whether someone lives in Poland or outside the borders of Poland, they should take part in the upcoming vote.
A couple 100,000 votes can really impact the result of this election. It's worth it to feel the weight of your vote, also through voting abroad.
Now, the Polish Foreign Minister was also asked about the newest developments in Berlin, where Friedrich Merz has failed to secure the parliamentary majority necessary to become the next chancellor of Germany. However, the Polish minister has refused to say whether this is significant and whether this impacts Poland in any way. He has said that Poland does not interfere in the internal matters of Germany and that the German democracy works.
I do not want to speculate about the German parliamentary procedures or their coalition agreements or inter-coalition loyalties. This is not my role.
There were also questions about the potential upcoming visit of Friedrich Merz, because after becoming chancellor, Friedrich Merz was supposed to visit both Paris and Warsaw, and so the Polish foreign minister has said that questions regarding this visit should be directed to the German chancellor's office in Berlin rather than to Warsaw. From Warsaw for TVP World, Ovidiusz Nicieja.
Friedrich Merz has failed to secure the majority necessary to become German chancellor in the first round of voting in the Bundestag. Just 310 lawmakers backed the nominee of the three-party coalition made up of the Christian Democrats, the Christian Social Union and the Social Democrats. That's 6 votes short of the 316 required. Even though the coalition holds 328 seats, the results suggest that some members voted against their own candidate. After the vote, the Bundestag session was suspended. This marks the first time an appointed chancellor has failed a Bundestag vote after an election and coalition deal. The Bundestag now has 14 days to either confirm Merz or nominate another candidate for chancellor. Maria Skura, a research associate at the Institute of European Politics in Berlin, shared her perspective on the latest developments in the German Bundestag. We asked her about today's events and what might happen next.
Although it's actually a good question where this defeat is coming from, as you rightfully pointed out. Merz fell really short of the needed majority of 316 votes. He got 310. And since it's a secret ballot, we don't actually know what happened within this coalition. Most probably something in the coalition, because CDU, CSU and SPD together, they have 328 seats. So theoretically, easily they should have gotten this required majority. Well, that didn't work out. Either it is a frustration with Merz giving up the debt brake, the planned debts, which will finance investments, including in security and defense infrastructure, or perhaps it was the rebelling SPD against the Merz's strong stance on migration, social security cuts. We don't know for sure. For sure, what we know is this lesson of humility, lesson of humbleness for Merz, who was quite bold before the campaign, during the campaign, and now he has this bitter lesson to digest.
The European Commission wants all its member states to quit Russian gas and oil by the end of 2027. On Tuesday, the bloc's energy czar Dan Jorgensen will hand down an action plan from the European Parliament in Strasbourg on how this will occur. Our EU correspondent Angela Skujins has more from Brussels.
Tuesday afternoon, the European Commissioner for Energy, Dan Jorgensen, is expected to hand down a blueprint showing member states how they can kick their oil and gas habits from Russia by 2027. Now, this date is nothing new. The EU set that deadline after Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. However, the how is what's got experts here in the Belgian capital excited. According to a leaked draft proposal of this plan obtained by Reuters, it includes a legal mechanism allowing member states to opt out of their contracts with some of those energy giants, such as the Russian state-owned Gazprom, without risking financial penalties. It, of course, needs the support from the European Council and the European Parliament before getting over the line. But according to the most recent tally, the EU imports roughly 19% of its gas from Russia, which is almost half of what it imported before that full-scale invasion. However, the data surrounding oil is a little bit more murky as Russia continues to circumvent EU sanctions through its Russian shadow fleet. But we'll have to wait and see what is in the details of that report and whether this is the circuit breaker the EU needs. Angela Skujins from Brussels for TVP World.
The European Parliament has voted to lift the immunity of far-right MEP and current Polish presidential candidate Grzegorz Braun, clearing the way for potential legal action over several widely publicized public scandals. In Strasbourg on Tuesday, members of the European Parliament voted to strip Grzegorz Braun of his parliamentary immunity. The move follows a request by Warsaw prosecutors investigating Braun for putting out Hanukkah candles with a fire extinguisher during a 2023 ceremony in the Polish Parliament. Braun, a member of the far-right Confederation Party and a current presidential candidate, did not appear before the Legal Affairs Committee to defend his actions. This is not the only case against him. Braun faces multiple allegations, including anti-Semitism, assault, defamation of a former health minister, and a slew of others. Now, with his immunity lifted, Polish prosecutors may proceed with charges. Following the resignation of Romania's Prime Minister on Monday, the country's interim president, Ilie Bolojan, has appointed a provisional head of government until the dust settles, following George Simeon's stunning win in the first round of presidential elections.
Interim President Ilie Bolojan has appointed Interior Minister Cătălin Predoiu as caretaker Prime Minister, just hours after Prime Minister Marcel Ciolacu resigned and pulled his Social Democratic Party out of the ruling coalition. Ciolacu's departure follows the first-round victory of right-wing candidate George Simeon, whose surprise win sent shockwaves through Romania's political establishment. Simeon is now expected to face independent candidate Nicu Șordan in the May 18 runoff.
A Russian drone attack killed one person and damaged infrastructure in Ukraine's Odessa region, according to the regional governor Oleg Kiper. Several fires broke out following the strike, and emergency crews worked through the night to put them out.
As stated by the Odessa governor on Telegram, one body was found in one of the damaged houses. However, the victim's identity is still being verified. It marks another drone attack in a short span of time, just hours before a Russian strike killed 3 residents and injured 7 others in the Sumy region. At the same time, Moscow authorities claimed that overnight, Russian air defense intercepted 19 drones heading towards the capital. In response to the attack, all 4 of Moscow's major airports were closed for several hours to ensure passengers' safety. It would mark the second night in a row that Ukrainian drones reportedly targeted the Russian capital. The attacks come just days ahead of the Victory Day parade in Moscow and Russia's proposed temporary ceasefire. So far, the Ukrainian government is yet to comment on the alleged drone attack.
US President Donald Trump says many already know who was behind the Nord Stream pipeline explosion, adding that he blew up the project first through sanctions. Trump also repeated his view that Russia wants peace and praised the Kremlin's proposed 3-day ceasefire.
Asked whether he will begin an investigation into who blew up the natural gas pipeline connecting Russia and Germany, Trump said there was no need. According to the US president, it is as simple as questioning a few people, and there is no need to waste money on expensive inquiries. Additionally, Trump claims he was the one to at least metaphorically blow up the pipeline with sanctions he introduced during his first term in the White House.
A bus reportedly carrying American soldiers crashed in the Lower Silesia region of Poland on Monday. 8 people were injured.
Late Monday night, the vehicle drove off the A4 motorway, crashed, and ended up on its side. Some 30 people were on board, including American soldiers who were traveling from Germany to Lithuania. The bus also carried Romanian tourists. Over 20 firefighter crews, 2 ambulances, and a helicopter responded to the accident. Reportedly, 4 individuals injured in the accident were transported to a nearby hospital.
Elected cardinals have arrived at the Vatican for a meeting one day before the conclave begins. The new pope will be elected by cardinals under 80 years of age, representing 71 countries. About 80% of them were appointed by the late Pope Francis.
The conclave will be presided over by Cardinal Pietro Parolin, the current Secretary of State of the Holy See. Though steeped in ancient ritual and tradition, the conclave will embrace modern security technology. Military-grade signal jammers will operate continuously around the chapel, ensuring a total blackout of external communication and preventing the use of any recording devices.
Robert Lewandowski's FC Barcelona will face the reigning Italian champions Inter Milan at the San Siro Stadium tonight. The game will determine the first finalist of the UEFA Champions League.
The first leg of this semi-final in Barcelona ended 3-3, which foreshadows a fascinating return game. Captain of the Polish national team Robert Lewandowski has been included in Barcelona's match squad after missing 4 consecutive games due to injury. According to coach Hansi Flick, the Polish star will begin tonight's game on the bench though. In total, the squads for the Barcelona-Inter semi-final include 4 Polish players. Apart from striker Robert Lewandowski, the Catalan team is also represented by goalkeeper Wojciech Szczęsny. Inter Milan, on the other hand, has 2 Polish midfielders among its ranks, Piotr Zieliński and Nikola Zalewski.
And that wraps up Midday Report today. Thanks for joining us, and stay tuned for more on TVP World. Goodbye.